Hello, I'm Linda Hong, Assistant Podcast Editor for the Straits Times. And I'm here at the Projector at Golden Mile Tower for the second ST Podcast live session celebrating 180 years of the Straits Times. Now, this special episode of our In Your Opinion podcast is in partnership with the National Youth Council and in support of the SG Youth Plan, where every youth voice matters. We'll discuss if the Singapore of today and tomorrow is ready for diverse pathways to success. Is success still all about getting good grades in school and landing a high-paying job? Or can young people find roads to success in Singapore? Now, to discuss their opinions on this are two young adults here on stage. And first, let me introduce Adela Yeo, 27. She co-founded Match Hub in 2021, a platform that matches fellow students to find suitable job roles based on their personalities. She's now working remotely as an account manager at a software company. And next, we have Nabil Shukri, 27. He's a part-time student with SUSS studying marketing. He also balances studies with his own business that he started in 2021 with his father called Chickies. Now, Chickies is a home-based delivery service of healthy meals for the Muslim market. Nabil started this business while he studies in a bid to help his family move out of their one-room rental apartment in Tampines. Thank you for coming on the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, let's start off with entrepreneurship. Both of you are entrepreneurs at such a young age. What motivated you to take this step? Adela, maybe you can tell us first.
Sure, I can get started. I think for me, entrepreneurship came thanks to a program that I was in. So I was back studying in NUS back then. There's this NUS Overseas College. It's an entrepreneurship program where we go overseas for 1 year. We take entrepreneurship courses. We also intern in startups. So that was actually when I got exposed to tech, like the tech industry, and found my love for tech back then. So I've always been interested in starting new things, a bit of on the business side. But I think what really pushed me to execute or really get started was really the program that I was in. So we had one module where at the end of the module, we can pitch an idea and, the school potentially can give you some grants and also mentorship guidance to help you build and work on your idea. And entrepreneurship is one aspect, but it's also a lot of people always say whether you have the right idea, do you even have any ideas? Some say I want to start a business, but I have no ideas. So mine was also thankfully Match Hub started back then because of my own problem that I faced. I didn't know what I want to do. I was studying business, but I was like, oh no, I'm gonna graduate soon in 1 year. What job? What job am I gonna take on? What do I do next? So I realized a lot of youth this day, we're not really sure about our career paths. And a lot of times the job that we end up in is just because we studied that. We studied accounting, so we automatically apply to be an accountant, but that may not be our area of interest or passion. So it was also because of that struggle I had back then, coupled with the program and the situation and opportunity I had. So I started entrepreneurship.
Nabil, what about yourself then? What were you thinking of before you started Chickies?
I think because since from young, I've always looked at business as a way out of poverty. So when I look at other entrepreneurs when I was young, when I was 10 years old, I look at stories of self-made entrepreneurs who managed to elevate themselves out of poverty. I was really inspired by that. So I was also inspired by my parents. They were entrepreneurs as well. They started multiple businesses. Renovation companies, e-commerce companies, and I was inspired by that. And because we as a family, we've been through a lot of hardships, moving houses about 7 times. And then when I started a lot of projects and businesses when I was poly until I was SSS. So I think what motivates me is really the dream of, I think the Singaporean dream of really elevating yourself out of poverty. Yeah.
And maybe you could also take us through a little bit about your family background and the difficulties you had when you started Chickies.
Okay, so back then during the pandemic, it was especially hard for us because my father was a Grab driver and that was during the circuit breaker. During that time, there was not a lot of jobs for Grab driver. But everybody is staying home and cautious about going out. So I remember I sat down with my parents and that we have to do. We have to do something. But then I was in just fresh out of NS. I extended my contract with my NS, and then we decided to do a side business doing chicken breast, marinated and tenderized chicken breast. So from there, we at first it was just a side project because me and my family, we started a lot of projects, businesses, but we didn't expect they will bring us this far until this year. Yeah.
Maybe we can also talk a little bit more about your current ventures, which is the TikTok shop, Chicky Media Production. It's to help businesses with B2B marketing, right? And this agency actually manages 4 to 5 clients, including El Mansour, Toko Warisan. Is to help them set up TikTok shops and use live stream as a tool to further reach and increase sales. So maybe you can tell us, how do you actually venture into this?
Okay, so I was especially lucky back when TikTok Shop started. TikTok Shop around the first year, maybe about 2023. Yeah, they have approached me when I was just a home-based business. So back then, Chickies was just a home base, and then I started to explore the platform TikTok Shop. It was still in its infancy. So from an early start, I learned a lot of the tools, and then they slowly upgrade themselves. And then finally, when I built a success story with my own business through TikTok Shop, I'm like, hey, I can do this for other businesses, especially in my community, where most of them are still brick and mortar. They're not exploring the e-commerce or social platforms. So when I discovered there was a gap, so I decided to venture, explore, find clients, and then I discovered that some of them have the similar thinking, but they didn't know how to start. So just last year, I started this in September, and now we have about 4 to 5 clients. It's still very new, all still managed by myself. And most of the clients there that I onboarded, they're already earning about 6 figures already on TikTok Shop, which is great lah. Because TikTok also has objective of getting more of the Malay community on TikTok Shop. So we align that way, and that's how we serve the clients lah.
Okay, then let's talk about school then. Both of you went through this normal route of studying hard, and then you have made it to university. So apart from getting good grades and better pay, what other benefits do you get from school? Adela?
Sure. I think I briefly mentioned that in the previous introduction. So like, it was also thanks to my school's program that I had the opportunity to try to do my own startup. So I think school, yes, you study like the content, you go for exams, but at the end of the day, like now I cannot differentiate square root 2x minus y, I don't know, plus z, whatnot. Like, yeah, I think what we take away from school is really I would say the ability to learn, like teach you how to learn new things. And today it's very diverse, right? The world is changing economically, everything is changing very fast. So it's important to learn things fast, like learn new things. And I think that's what school helps us with, like to learn new things. Not so much of the content or like the exam or the grade per se, but just, being able to learn and of course work with people, like friends around me. Like wanting to do a business, I think Nabil would know you're like, it's nice that you're doing it with your family, but otherwise, like finding a co-founder or a team is very challenging. Like even after that, like who are you gonna reach out to? Who are you gonna ask help for this aspect, like for marketing, then maybe for like tech? I think school is where you kind of get network and you know people and friends and you work with them in a team. So you learn how to work in a team as well. Yeah.
So networking is also quite important, right? For Chicky Media Production. I mean, you reached out to the 4 to 5 clients, but what other things do you actually see apart from networking that perhaps you could get from school, Nabil?
Okay, so I'm still part of my school entrepreneurship ecosystem. So a lot of times it's quite amazing lah. Like, and then next week they actually set me up with a supermarket to sell my products to. So with this resource, with this network, they really helped me. Republic Poly, they really helped me a lot, and also through other organizations like SMCI, the Malay Chambers of Commerce, and I think the thing is, there's a lot of things to learn from. I think everything is a learning opportunity, and everything maybe people can connect you to opportunities that you can't even fathom sometimes. So like for example, like Chikis, we are in frozen marts, and we are finally, maybe next week, hopefully we get into markets. This is all through the who opened those doors are actually the network that we have lah. Yeah.
And what about, let's talk about grades. Adela, just now you mentioned that it's not just grades from school that you actually get network, but let's talk about grades now, right? How important do you think, in your opinion, right? Or let's imagine a future where there is no grades from school. You go to exams, you don't get a grade. Could you actually phantom that? Do you think exam grades or school grades are actually important?
I think grades are important, but good grades is not as important. So, reason why I say that, right? I always tell this story. Like I had a tutor back then when I was back in high school. This teacher told me that to do well in an exam is not to get to score 90 upon 100 or to score an A. It's like exams are there for you to gauge and know yourself, like your own strengths and weaknesses. So he said, to be successful in an exam or to really do well for an exam is going into the examination hall, and when you complete the paper, answer the questions, coming out of the exam, you know how you're going to score. So if you think that you did badly, you're probably going to fail the paper, and eventually you really failed the paper, then actually you succeeded because you know yourself, like you know what's your weakness and your strength. But if you went into the exam, you think that you're going to fail the paper, but you came up with a straight A, with 90 upon 100, then actually you didn't succeed in this examination because you didn't even you failed to recognize that, hey, you actually did well for this. So I think grades are important in terms of helping you recognize your own strengths and weaknesses. And then today's topic is about success, right? So I think how to be successful or whatnot is to really know ourselves, like know what we are good at, what we are maybe not so good at. So for example, like I was also an art student. I also did business and marketing. So, maybe we do well in the marketing modules, the marketing subjects. Even right now, I think in Singapore, there's like AEP, like the art gifted program. So if you do well in art, like your art subject, you score A, then at least you know that, okay, maybe that's something that I can pursue, or like you like art, you do well in it. So I do think like grading system is important because it helps me recognize what I am good at. But it's not saying that, I need to definitely get good grades. Otherwise, yeah.
So it's actually what your tutor told you was it's important to gauge yourself first before you enter the exam hall.
Yes, and during the exam, like after taking the exam, so like you kind of know like, I did answer the questions well, or I didn't answer the questions well.
Is that the case for you as well, Nabil?
Tomorrow I have an econs exam.
Good
So
luck to
I
you.
wish the
Good
grading
luck.
system is abolished. But just kidding. So I think the grading system I think is important to a certain extent lah. But I think there are other metrics to measure the performance. So for example, like for me, I'm in the marketing route. My clients don't ask me, hey, your marketing module, you get how many grade? Do you get A? Right. So I think there are different metrics to measure. But is it important? Yes, I will not say that it's totally not important. It is. But there should be other metrics. So for example, maybe because I come from the marketing and entrepreneurship route, most of the metrics is based on maybe your social media impressions, or maybe how much sales you bring in for the company in the revenue. But maybe certain other traits, like maybe you want to be a doctor, of course you need to be graded very well lah. Yeah. So I think it's not. What they say, like one shoe fits all. Is something that the grading system I think is important for certain things, but I think for other things like maybe arts or something is measured differently. Yeah.
But how important are grades in your experience, right? When you actually enter the workforce, maybe you can tell us a little bit what you have experienced before.
Okay, so after when I started Chikis, I only recently left the workforce last year. So I've been through a few full-time jobs. Normally they don't really ask you for your grades. Yeah, my first job, they never asked me for my grades lah. More of like, actually they were more interested on my portfolio. So what you did in school, like what projects did you do? So I remember I joined an SME IT company. So they look into, they ask questions like, hey, have you handled, because I was applying for a marketing job. So they ask like, what experience you have in marketing? So not, maybe they look at grades for a while, but they look more on what can you, I think it's the most important thing is what value can you bring towards a company or a person. Yeah.
So, but in your experience, you've previously said before that, when you first start out, grades are actually important in the first place. And then subsequently, it becomes less important. Is that actually the case?
Yes. So at first, I mean, if you don't have any sort of metrics to, measure you, normally employers will look at how well you perform in school. But after that, after maybe when you go through maybe your second, third job or fourth, they don't normally look at your grades performance. They look at your previous job performance. They will interview your employer. They will measure through that. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about different roads to success. Because I see, Adela, you're looking somewhere to your parents, is it? Hello. I understand that your parents are here. Yes, shout out to Adela's parents. Well, the next question is about different roads to success. And I understand that you often have a lot of debates on that. So maybe you can actually tell us, what is this debate that you have with your father about the different roads to success?
Sure. So, yes, I invited my dad here today because we always debate about this topic, right? So he's like, oh, you need to study hard, you need to work hard, you need to get good grades. If not, you cannot be successful in life. I heard that since I was a kid. And then I am quite a bit rebellious, so I will rebut him. So that was your definition of success. Why I must study hard and get good grades to be successful? Then I think we have not say very different opinions, but I think it's different mindsets. So I think back then, or maybe for our parents, their definition of success is, okay, you need to have a good stable job, you need to have a good income, you need to, to have a basic standard of living. And I always refer back to like Maslow hierarchy of needs, right? Where you need to first meet the first layer of shelter, food, basic necessities. And I think like as younger generations of Singaporeans today, we are blessed. Like we are born with a shelter, a roof over our head. We have like our meals, like breakfast, lunch, dinner for us. So I think a lot of us, like what me and my friends think of, it's not really like, oh, I need to get a job. I think, disclaimer, no sponsorship here, but I think our government has done a pretty good job in terms of helping us to at least be employed or get employment. So I think what we really look for next in terms of, back to my Maslow hierarchy of needs, is like maybe self-happiness, self-accomplishment, whether we feel accomplished, whether we feel fulfilled. So self-fulfillment. And for me, like I always say, like success to me is like to be able to, I have this quote, like to love what I do what I love with people who I love. And I think that to me is success, to be able to work in a field or do something that I enjoy. And even if, let's say, my job might not be exactly what I am passionate about or what I love, right? But it's able to maybe enable me to pursue what I like. So for example, I like to act and dance, so I go for dance classes now. So to me, I feel like it's just being able to do what I like, basically. Yeah. And of course, to do well in it.
And Nabil, your story is also quite unconventional. And do you think you are redefining success then?
Yeah. So before all this, I saw three paths. There's education, I take my degree, and there's career, I took my full-time job, and there's the entrepreneurship, which is my chikis. So I took on all these three paths. So defining success, I wouldn't call myself a success now. There's still work to be done. But I've seen success to a certain extent through my ventures at Chikis, especially with our expansion plans right now. So looking at those three lenses, I think success can be from everywhere. It's just what you make of it from these three paths. Yeah.
So which one do you think is your biggest one? You actually made a promise to your mother that you move out of the one-room rental flat, and you're on your way to doing that now, right? So do you think that would actually be your biggest success?
Okay. So entrepreneurship. I think the entrepreneurship out is the biggest path to success. At least for me. Recently, we got a very good BTO ballot number. So hopefully we can choose a unit that we want. So, in 4 years' time, hopefully I can fulfill this promise to my mother. So through this entrepreneurship route, I'm able to, save a lot of money and pay for my my mom's medical expense. And sometimes we go out for dinner. We don't have to think about hey, maybe this bill or something like. I can just treat my mom, my parents to a good dinner. And if let's say someone asks for help, I'm able to give without expecting a return. So the entrepreneurship route bring the most success, especially when I quit my job last year. Not to say that I hate my previous job. I love my previous job. I was performing very well there. So when I quit, actually heart pain. But when I left and I pursued these two businesses, it brought a lot of not just monetary but also freedom to give back and time and all this lah. Yeah.
So speaking of passion, Adela, you are passionate about dancing, acting. Do you think that one day, you might end up, because you are also using so much time, you put in so much time and energy into these passions, as well as you have to work, right? So do you think that one day you might just end up without accomplishing one of these widely accepted accomplishments that we all are very familiar with?
I don't think so. Otherwise, I won't be doing that. But I think for me, like what you mentioned, like having a lot of energy, doing what I'm passionate about, like dancing, acting, I think it gives me like energy, gives me more energy, makes me more motivated, and keeps me going. I do like my job a lot as well. Like I mentioned, I like tech and I'm in a tech company now and I enjoy what I do every day. But I think sometimes like if you just do your work from 9 to 5, mundane job, you might get restless after a while. For me now, I am excited after work. I invited my friend, my dance friend as well. So I think he can relate. Like every day after work, we look forward to go for dance classes because we enjoy that and we have fun. And also for me, like dance is also a form of like exercising and workout. So it's good and keeps me like energized. I think about like widely accepted accomplishments. I wouldn't say like, of course, then the definition is we need to redefine, right? What's widely accepted accomplishments. But I think for me personally, it's like what I'm doing and what I hope to accomplish. A lot of times is like kind of for myself. Like I want to do well in something, not because like, I want to go around telling the whole world like, hey, I won this competition. But sometimes like just because I join a competition and I work very hard to try and win that competition because I want to like learn and grow from that competition, or learn and grow from the experience, even if it's doing like my own business, right? Like I don't need to aim to be the next Facebook or next Google to be like a big unicorn. But I think for me, it's more of like when I start this, be it dancing or be it doing a startup, what is it that I want out of it? Like, is it the learning journey, the people I meet, the network I gain, the mentorship I have throughout this whole experience? And then I think if I gain those, then I feel like I have accomplished those, and it's kind of like for myself, like this experience is mine. It's not to say like, hey guys, I my startup is listed now on like the stock exchange, like yeah. So I think it's really back to like what I want to accomplish and like why I want to accomplish these things.
So speaking of networking just now, right? You actually, what are some of the ideas that you could actually make use of at Scape? You actually mentioned earlier on that you had some ideas for Scape. What are some of the ideas for networking?
Actually, we were having a conversation. So I was just speaking with Linda just now before the podcast. I was saying like, now that I've danced, I go to Scape a lot. Like I'm there almost like 4 to 5 times a week to practice like a dance piece, a dance competition that I'm going to have end of this week, actually this weekend. And right now Scape is newly renovated. So back then when I was working on my startup Match Hub, we actually had an incubator space there. And we had like a hot desk there. So entrepreneurship is always in me. I feel it's at the back of my mind. So at any situation wherever I'm in, I would always think of new ideas and hope to start something or to help others. So right now, because I'm there every day, I was just looking at Scape. I was thinking, hey, the place is a very youthful place, like a lot of young people. And I think there's a lot of space there. It could be a good idea for, youth to test out their ideas. So maybe like if I don't know, I need to speak to Scape if they watch this. So maybe we can have like a space in Scape and can run some programs for youth to, maybe set up some booths, sell their things or do product. Basically back then when I was doing my startup, we had to do a lot of like surveys or like product market fit, right? To test the market. Not so much of surveys, but basically to test the market. So it'd be nice if we can make use of that space, allow youth, a platform to test out their ideas basically. So like a test bed for ideas. Yeah.
So Scape is this place, one of the places for youths. But what other kind of support do you hope to see that can help youths to pursue their passion and to develop them to the fullest potential, whichever pathways they choose? Nabil?
Okay, so I think the existing opportunities that we have is very, very good. I myself, I benefited from it. If there are other ways that possibly can help businesses, youth entrepreneurs, is I think is mentorship from maybe industry leaders, because there's a lot of funding out there. Founding is, you can look at SG, and there's a lot of available resources. But I think what youth entrepreneurs really need, aside from funding, is really good mentorship from the industry, so as not to repeat the same mistakes. So for myself, I have mentorship from my school, but if there's a mentorship from, let's say, maybe from frozen food company, right? So a lot of these things I still self-learn. I may break a few eggs, but then if I have this mentorship, it'll be great. Yeah.
Okay, and you two have come quite far with your ventures, despite being quite young. So, but what advice do you have for fellow youths who are wondering how to be successful? How should they redefine their own success? Adela, do you want to start first?
Start young and know yourself well. Like, just if you like anything or you are curious or you have any like interest in anything, just go and try it out. So my friend told me this. He said, like, usually you won't be successful on your first try. You might probably take like a few tries, maybe 10 tries, 10 times, then you'll be successful. So the younger and the earlier you start, the earlier you reach your 10th time. So whatever you think that, I might like to do this, I might be good at this, I might be able to do this in future, be it sports, arts, whatever, just go and do it and try. Then even if you realize it's not for you, you realize it early so that you can pivot and change early. Yeah.
Nabil?
I think, shoot for the stars and you land on the clouds. So I myself, I've been through a lot of business ideas, and I think the truth is you're most likely to fail in business than in school, right? That's the reality. Maybe the stats is maybe against you when you start a business, but I think there's always value in starting something and learning from that. So I myself, I'm quite. When I do this business, I acknowledge that maybe tomorrow something bad happens. So but I remain competitive and innovate in my business. So I think one advice that a mentor gave to me, I think is very powerful. I'll share it here. And previously I was working at one of the HR departments. So he told me that what's more valuable, like a candidate with who maybe a diploma candidate who manage a business, maybe have 10 or 20 headcounts under them, or a fresh grad that have just fresh out of uni. Then I said, maybe it's the degree holder lah. But then he says, no, this the diploma holder with that amount of experience managing this 10 headcounts. But then I but he feel his business. Then I say, no, he learns from that. So the HR director, he saw value in that. Then that changed my mind. So even if I fail my business tomorrow, I'm confident that all this experience that I have can bring value to other people in the future. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Nabil and Adela, for sharing your experiences with us. It was interesting to find out how you have fought your pathway to success in Singapore. And I'm Linda Hong, and that's a wrap for In Your Opinion in partnership with the National Youth Council and in support of the SG Youth Plan, where every youth voice matters. Now, if you want to find out more of NYC's upcoming initiatives, activities, or share ideas, head online to SG Youth Plan Engagements. Through NYC's year-long engagements in 2025, the SG Youth Plan aims to articulate the hopes and aspirations of different segments of youths and provide more opportunities and resources with support from the rest of society. Meantime, if you'd like to read ST's articles and opinion columns, all these links are in our podcast show notes. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you.
Thank you.